Okay, so last month I hit a huge milestone in my business. I had my very first $20,000 month. And honestly, it didn't happen the way I thought it would. I didn't have to magically reinvent myself or find some secret formula. What changed was how I approach sales, strategy, and also my systems. So in this video, I'm sharing the biggest lessons that I learned. So if you're trying to grow your business without burning out, hopefully these insights will help you change the way you think about those things. So first lesson was I didn't need to necessarily change myself. I needed to change my systems and I needed to change who I was talking to. So with the systems part, basically the skill that I've been working on this year, overall broad skill, is sales. I kept having my sales call reviewed and they're like, you are being too nice. And actually before this year, I actually never had any like formal sales training. I was just kind of like, I guess you could say, winging it. So I don't know. And I've made over 6 figures in my business. So it's like just winging it to 6 figures with your sales calls. But with the specific systems that I'm like using now, it's like I'm getting more cold traffic. And cold traffic it's not going to convert the same as like warm or hot traffic that might come from like social media content or like referrals or something like that. Like with dealing with cold traffic, they have to have absolute certainty that you're the person because they don't know you. So I was being told that I was being too nice on the calls and that I should be more pushy, more aggressive. And that's like not me, like at all. Not an aggressive person whatsoever. They're like, you literally need to be nice with a bite. That was that was like the that's what I was being told. Or like you need to be, I guess, more aggressive or whatever the case may be. Or I remember one form of advice was like, they need to fear you on the call. And I'm like, I'm like, this is not what I want. Because I guess up until this point, for me, it was never really about being nice. It's more like about like, okay, I offer a service. You might potentially want this service. So we're going to have a conversation sort of like on if this is the right fit for you or not. So that was my mindset behind it. But, you know, actually worked with I think she calls herself a sales coach, with working like specifically on my closing. And she built me out sort of like a new system to where I wasn't necessarily, you know, it wasn't like conversation driven, if that makes sense. It was like more me taking the lead in the call. So not necessarily being more like aggressive about it and such, but just leading the call more with like questions, less explaining, more questions. That was like the biggest lessons I learned with that. Because people most likely, they don't necessarily need you to explain everything. They just need the right information to make a decision. That's what they need. So I got a new sales system built for me, like specifically with like closing sales calls, because that's like my main thing that I do. And yeah, we could probably end this video right there. That was like one of the biggest things. So if like, and it was weird. Okay, I'm going to say one last thing about that, because I mentioned that I was like working with cold traffic, right? I knew that there was a problem because even on my best days, like I have like a 50 to 60 close rate, like with warm, hot traffic. But in terms of that cold traffic, they were not moving. They were like, okay, but they were always interested. So I'm like, something has to be up, right? So that's why we had to sort of like implement that system that I got help with. So that brings me to my second point, and that is, if something is not working and you like know it's not working, you see it's not working, and there's like, to you, like a visible, like, you know, something's wrong here, literally just pay somebody to fix it. So when I was having that problem with the cold traffic. And I'm like, bro, why is nobody converting right now? This is so weird. I knew someone that was able to help me with this specific problem. I'm like, okay, I need a different sort of way to do this. So she actually contacted me. So she was literally like in the right place at the right time. But she presented me with the solution, and I literally did not hesitate. I was like, okay, this is what I need, and I just got it. I wasn't looking for anything at that time per se, but like I literally just got it. I was like, no questions asked. Okay, whatever. When can we get started? So that was like the second thing, is like, if something's not working, just pay somebody to fix it immediately. And that's always sort of like the way I think about things. But in that specific instance, I didn't even question it. I was just like, whatever. And the second thing, and I literally have to be reminded this like time after time after time after time again, and that is to do not assume that someone knows something, and to listen. I would have lost out on about $5,000 if I had not listened, and then also if I assumed that someone already knew something. So, sometimes we think, I think this person already knows. Like, especially when you're working with like more experienced, like really, really experienced people, right? You're like, I think they already know this. I know, at least for me. But then I had to remind myself, well, if they knew this, then they wouldn't have came to you, and they wouldn't be saying that it's a problem. So it's like literally my mind in this situation playing tricks on me, and I'm like, I think they already know this. But I listened, and then I'm looking back at the call, and I'm like, okay, I think they need help with this. So what I did was I created a custom proposal and added that into the package, that specific thing that they needed help with, because I had to answer. And she was like, this is exactly what I was looking for. But if I hadn't had listened, and if I assumed that she already knew that, then she probably would have still had those problems. Maybe somebody else would have helped her, maybe not, but I would have been $5,000 shorter. And that brings me to my third point, and that is to always have a plan B. And when I say a plan B, what I really mean is like, have it in the back of your mind to have a downsell option. And this is also something that I have to like keep reminding myself, because at the time I was really like hell-bent on selling this one offer. So I'm like, I really want to sell this one offer, but your clients and your customers don't care what you want to sell. They don't care what you want to do. They just care what they need help with. So, yeah, I had to, so I started I started presenting second options to them, and it was kind of like a mix of both. So it still had a mix of like what I wanted to do in there, but it also had a mix of like what they needed. And that also sort of like helped the close rate go up, because now I'm like, again, listening and being like, okay, this is how I can help. The fourth thing that I want to mention, and I think I mentioned this in like other videos, is skill stacking. Whatever skills that you have, literally all of them, if you are 2 steps, sometimes even 1 step above somebody, they can be monetized. So not just thinking of like maybe like the immediate skill that you sell, but like what other ways can you help people as well. So for me, main thing that I sell is YouTube strategy, right? But there are other things that I've learned along the way that may be of use to people as well. So things like I don't do websites, but I have like people that I send people to for websites. So that wouldn't be something that I would offer, but maybe like adding video editing on, or adding thumbnails on, or adding cell systems on. That's something I've been recently adding on, because I've been learning all of these things all year. So, sharing what I'm learning as well, and adding that into the systems that I already have with like marketing. So, just thinking about sort of like what other skills could you offer as well to increase how much money you get at one time. And the fifth thing is to, of course, charge more, and then also find people who can afford that new price. So if you build an audience of low ticket buyers or beginners or something like that, and you want to increase your prices, sometimes that is going to be really hard, because current audience is not used to that price point, or either they're just literally just not at that experience level to get the new thing that you want to offer. So with that being said, if that is a problem, then you have to go find other people to sell to. Because you cannot make somebody buy something that they just literally cannot afford, or that they're not even knowing that they have this problem. So you have to find people that know they have that problem and are ready to buy now. Next point is to do more of what works. So that probably should have went before the charge more and find people who can afford it. But one of the things that's really been helping me is literally, I've worked with like over 100 people, probably over 200 now, on like video projects of all sorts. So like I have a lot of data on like what people's problems are when it comes to videos and, you know, their content marketing, and, you know, I have a lot of clients, past clients. So one of the things that really helped me get, that really compounded over time and helping me get to the next revenue level, was going back into that data, into my client list, and being like, okay, who are my favorite clients to work with? Why were they my favorite clients to work with? And how can I find more of these clients to work with? But since they are a very specific audience, I didn't want to just like talk to that one specific target, because I personally think it would be like really restrictive for me and really hard. So I didn't do that. So what I did instead was I created sort of like outreach campaigns to reach out to those very specific people. And little do you know, it worked. And I think I mentioned this in the beginning of the video, but I actually was taking a social media break this month, and I wasn't really on social media at all during this time. So that brings me to my last point, and that is, you do not have to be everywhere. That specific month, I was not on social media at all. I had systems sort of like running in the background, and, you know, practicing my closing skills. So those was like mainly like the main two things that I was focusing on that month. Being able to have like evergreen systems in the background that sells for you, like your YouTube videos, and, you know, automated messages, and follow-up system, you know, stuff like that. It really helped to show me like you literally do not have to be everywhere. You just need to show up in the places that really matter. As someone, I don't necessarily want to be on social media all day, all the time. I don't want to have to post 10 million posts a week to be able to get visibility and get reach. Like, that's not the game that I want to play. So seeing that just kind of like validated it for me. Now literally all I'm working on is just getting more people into like that specific funnel. So yeah, those are my lessons that I learned that month. Let me know down in the comments, did something that I say resonate with you? If it did, let me know. Thank you for watching this video, and if you need help with YouTube strategy, book a call.